years, many colleges went mad. They charge students big bucks and then make them feel guilty. This is what happened to Lucy Cross Williams at Stanford.
I was anxious, I felt guilty constantly. I couldn't stop thinking about the whole white privilege thing.
Kim Katiti attended the Art Institutes of California.
I feel like I lost my life for like 6 years.
This new documentary, The Coddling of the American Mind, argues that today more young people are anxious and depressed because adults at their schools brainwash them.
I was full of self-confidence when I was 18, but while I was in college, that disintegrated.
Kimmy was taught she was a victim.
I was introduced to ideas such as microaggressions.
Have you heard or even said any of these common microaggressions? Wow, you're so articulate. Can I touch your hair?
I began to see myself through the lens of Black and a woman. If I see someone like coming up with their dog, for example, and the dog's barking at me, I could interpret that as a racist microaggression on the part of both the dog and the dog walker. And I was like, the world's a lot darker than I thought it was. In order to kind of compete and get the best grades, I sort of showed how much of a victim I was in order to impress my professors.
She thought that was wrong, but she didn't push back.
I thought, I'm paying a lot, so they're definitely teaching me like the golden rules for life.
Those rules included censoring speech by conservatives like Ben Shapiro. Kimmy joined the mob trying to get Shapiro's posts blocked on Twitter. She kept sending complaints to Twitter censors.
I would sit down all the way through the night. I'll try again, I'll try again.
At Stanford, Lucy was taught that Shapiro's ideas put Black, brown, trans, queer, Muslim students at risk.
My first thought was like, this is extreme, this is ridiculous. And then there was the, well, you're privileged, you're white.
She was taught that a good person
I didn't read too many books by white authors or listen to the wrong kind of music. I was really torn on rap because I didn't know if that was appropriation or appreciation.
to be accepted, she changed the way she spoke.
When I started to use the vocabulary of like marginalized, intersectional, hegemonic, blah, 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 people just kind of smiled a little bit more. And I started feeling like,
Did she just say marginalized, intersexual, hegemonic? Wait, hold on. She did. She said marginalized, intersectional, which I know what those two terms mean. Hegemonic, I gotta look this up. Why don't we look up hegemonic? Because I've never heard that. We're gonna have to go here, move that out of the way, move around. Come on, Google. You're slow. Hegemonic. What does Google have to say about hegemonic? Ruling or dominant in a political or social context. Let's see. I was trying to maximize this. Hegemony, I guess to say, refers to the dominance of one group over all others. A hegemon holds unrivaled power and can use their power to exert influence over others. Hegemonic. I'm glad I learned something new today. That's one of the many things that I have learned new today, but it just goes to the indoctrination of what the heck is going on in colleges. So let's continue with this young lady that said marginalized, in quotations, intersectional, and now hegemonic.
hegemonic, blah, blah, blah. People just kind of smiled a little bit more. And I started feeling like I was part of an in-group.
But a few years later, she concluded,
These set of thought processes was really unhealthy and was making me miserable.
Administrators teach students that they're fragile and in constant danger and can be permanently harmed by words. This is not a kind or compassionate thing to teach people.
Greg Lukianoff co-wrote The Coddling of the American Mind. Years ago, he suffered from suicidal depression. Therapy helped him, but now...
I'm looking on campus and I'm like, Wow, it's kind of like administrators are telling students to catastrophize, to do all these things that I was taught not to do.
This is amplified by required courses that divide students into oppressed or oppressor.
Colleges provide websites and phone numbers so students can report people who offend them.
And lots of people offend them.
In 2012, there was none of this.
Coddling co-author Jonathan Haidt.
And by 2014, 2015, there was a lot of it.
What about our protection right now?
At this college, they
Basically took the president of the university hostage. They wouldn't even let him go to the bathroom. It wasn't about learning. It wasn't about exposure to ideas. It was about this battle between good and evil.
This new censorship was supposed to help minorities, but they too were often punished. Saeed Malami spoke at a protest.
I go up there, feeling all cool with myself. It was like, blackness is not a skin color. It's an attitude to life. If you're white, you can be black. If you're black, you can be purple, or whatever it is. I'm like, everyone can be black. And what happened after that, a lot of people I thought I was tight with just stopped talking to me.
So instead of saying, I'm no victim, he shut up.
What I thought to be true, I would keep in my head and then say something else.
Doing that makes other students dumber.
Other people challenging us make us smart. Cancel culture is like a way of shooting yourself in the brain.
For Kimmy, a turning point was when she went.
He said other people that challenge us make us smarter. Oh my goodness. If you're willing to listen, at least listen. You don't have to agree at the end of the conversation, but at least listen. What we see in this society is that these hyper progressive liberal / Democrat people, they just want to cut all this stuff off. They want censorship. They don't want anybody with a differing opinion to even think about. And that's the whole thing. They don't want these people with a differing opinion than theirs to think about opposing them on anything. That's the ultimate goal as to what they want to do. It is totally in the best interest of you as a person to at least listen to someone else that have a differing opinion than you do. And I'm the type of person, I don't share the same opinion with most people. I share opinions with normal people. But I see most people, they just don't even want to have the discussion about it. And for the life of me, I do not understand that. Right? I think I'm more open to you with your differing opinion from mine changing my mind than I don't even care if I change your mind or not. Just listen to what I got to say, because 99% of what I say is just built in common sense and it's just built with experience. I am not in the business of being a parrot of what someone else said. I will listen to someone else talk and what they got to say. I don't care where they at. I'm going to listen to them, and then I'm going to listen to somebody else that might have a differing opinion, and then I'm just going to do my own research, because the time that we live in, you can find whatever you're looking for. And so the way that I see that as a benefit is if someone give you one opinion, you can go find and validate that opinion. Someone else give you a total opposite opinion, you can go find and you can validate that opinion. Now, where you as a person, where it's going to take a little bit of work on your part, it ain't going to, in my opinion, it's not going to take much. You take that opinion and the other opinion, and then you go just think about, now what makes sense? What's logical in these two total polar opposite opinions? And let's talk about an example, right? Does it make sense that you would have grown men in children's classrooms looking like, they don't even look like women that I'm interested in, but they're drag queens, And they're in scantily clad outfits. They even have mustaches. Their voices still deep. And they're gyrating in such a fashion in front of children. I'm not going to go any further with what else that they do. And then they read to these kids. What makes sense about that? Now, one side says, well, people just need to be who they are and this, that, and the other. And so the other side says it's grooming children and this, that, and the other. So I take both of these because to me, one thing makes sense off the top, but I'm just not going to be so myopic as to just say, because this society has taught me I got to research everything. I don't believe none of this shit. So I got to just go with what makes sense to me. What is logical? That's all. Right? So I go look into these things, which sounds ridiculous as an example that I just given. I don't even have to look into that type of stuff. But still, I do a little bit, not as much as other things. It makes no logical sense for a big, grown, burly man, 6'2", that can dunk a basketball, put on a wig, some ridiculous makeup, and just look like a monster, in my opinion, to go read to elementary school children. What sense does that make in any world? You have plenty of adults out here who are on board with what you want to do. And then at the end of the night, after you read to these adults, there's other benefits that you can have. But there's no logical sense for these things to be happening in elementary schools. But when you have Satan alive and moving around in all these type of spaces, and you have one side of our government is definitely Marxist, then it makes sense. It's definitely not right, but it makes sense because Marxists has infiltrated this government and they are strong out here right now. And if you don't have a faith based in something, it has to be based in something. And at the end of the day, to me, it always something that makes sense. Now, when the things make sense, then you build off that. But I think just what they're showing you is, and again, I'm gonna point back to Cat Williams at the beginning of last year, 2024. All truth will be exposed. And if you're a person that thinks like me and you're a normal person, you're a fair-minded person, these are just glorious times. The only thing is, in the past, we have found out all these truths after the fact. But I think things are catching up more and more to where we're kind of finding out these things like as they happen, or really shortly after they happen. Because even if you look back to the 1960s, things happen in the government, it's like we don't know till 20 30 years later. As things wind down, we know about it 20 years later, 15 years later. Now these things are winding down to the point to where it's starting to be about 4 years. It's starting to be about 4 years, but as 2024 has kicked off, this stuff is starting to turn into weeks. And so I think what's eventually going to happen, especially with AI, it's starting to be in real time that we're finding these things out. Can you imagine one of your most respected politician in real time? You go click on the social media and you see them in real time doing something egregious. I think that's the point that is getting to. And especially with a platform like X/Twitter, as being more of a free speech platform, and Meta / Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Reels, those type of things, they're going more toward free speech. So I think eventually in real time we are going to see these things happen, and I for one can't be any happier that these things are happening.
Went to a skate park in a conservative neighborhood.
Are they going to hate that a black woman's in their territory? Will they literally pick up a skateboard and attack me?
The park was in Orange County, California.
I was afraid of Orange County to begin with, just because it was notoriously conservative. So just going into Orange County was kind of scary for me.
But at the park, Kimmy found the county was not evil as she'd feared.
This was a really great place. That was when I knew there was a way that I was looking at the world that wasn't right. I was the one inflicting pain on myself, and it was robbing me of happiness.
It's really important to have great sympathy for younger people today because they're just doing what older people are telling them. Like this idea that they're always in constant danger, that words will permanently harm them, and that they're much more fragile than they actually are.
When I was a social justice advocate, I was tired, miserable, pessimistic.
Now that I'm out of that and I'm thinking for myself, I'm much happier.
I wasn't really sure what the alternative was until a friend sent me a link
to this YouTube channel where black scholars said things she'd never heard.
The whole business of black men being at a unique risk of being killed by white cops is vastly distorted.
I was astonished to find that there were black thinkers writing about race and sharing ideas that I never heard on campus. This whole new world of ideas was opened up to me, and it was so exciting to feel like I was thinking for myself again.
Coddling is a good introduction to how some of today's schools harm students. This video was just a taste. There's more in the full documentary, and you can find that at thecoddlingmovie.com.
It's ridiculous that you have to have movies and documentaries about these things, but things are just so out of whack, especially I would say within the last they have gone so far to the left. Within the last, I would say 10 to 15 years, there's been an entire shift in foolishness, and brainwashing has amped up to a degree that I have never seen it before. And it's just, everything is just going so quick, and it has been prophesied that these things were going to happen, right? And so when you look at the way things are going today, I think that there's been a couple of generations that have, I want to be optimistic that they have not been ruined. It just may take them some time to come back to just common sense, because I really think God and common sense and what makes sense, which is common sense, I think at the end of the day, that is what's going to bring us back to some semblance of where we need to be. It's never going to be perfect, because you're still going to have people that are just delulu. And we deal with those people. In the past, at least we did. We dealt with those people because they were such a minority, in which they still might be today, but the way things are presented today is like those people are the majority. And what makes you think those people are the majority is the way that our so-called leaders come out here on such a daily basis and spit this venom and this degeneracy and just this bad behavior, and you're just so bad if you're a Christian, you're just so bad if you believe in God or a higher power or anything like that, to the point that, okay, the younger generations coming up, I think they don't know what the fuck to do. They don't know what to do. So I think the younger generation they're getting to a point to where it's much easier, especially women. It's much easier to just go with whoever's around them, to just go with whatever they think. I've always been the type of person, I don't care what it is. I don't automatically go the opposite way, but I don't automatically go with the sheep. More times than not, I don't go with the sheep. I just don't go with what everybody think, and I've always been that way for as long as I can remember. Y'all going to do what? Y'all going to that club? Okay. 6 people been shot that club in the last year. Why are y'all going to that club? No, that was me. I'm not going to that club. We chilling, we cooling, we can do this, but now we gonna go to this club? 6 people been shot in the last year? Nah. Oh, you scared? You scared? Yes, I'm scared. Oh yes, I'm scared about being shot. Because 6 people don't get shot at one place just off happenstance. It just don't happen. But anyway, you know what? Really? I'm starting to ramble. And so if you're on Facebook, just like this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Some of the same videos go on here. But then there's some videos over there on YouTube that are not posted on here. Because there are some things that you can say on YouTube and some things you can say on Facebook. And I think it's going to be better in the near future for all these platforms. YouTube, Mr. Info with a space. Not the word space, just a natural space. That little long key on your keyboard, that space. 5000 spelled out FIVETHOUSAND. Peace.